I've been glad to see some exciting milestones in our community's recovery. I've heard from many residents that they want to be back in Altadena, accessing services and enjoying events with their family, friends, and their neighbors. That includes local businesses, and I'm happy that the beloved Altadena Town and Country Club recently reopened some of its activities. The club has been a fixture in the community for 115 years. It is an important gathering place and plays host to countless community meetings and special events. Residents can once again enjoy tennis, pickleball, swimming, and food trucks on site. This is the first phase of the Altadena Town and Country's reopening, with more offerings expected in the months to come. More activities are continuing to resume in Altadena as residents and businesses begin to regain a sense of normalcy, joy, and healing. I'm also committed to ensuring we are resuming county services in Altadena. That's why I'm excited to share that summer fun doesn't have to end yet, because with funding through my office, we have extended pool season at Loma Alta Park. The pool will now stay open through October 31st for residents to enjoy low-cost lap swim, water exercise classes, and swim lessons, plus free swim hours. You can visit linktr.e/LA County Aquatics. These extended hours are available exclusively in Altadena because I know how important recreation is for rejuvenating the community. With that in mind, I also want to share a special event my office is hosting alongside the LA Opera at the end of the month, on the heels of the Rotary Club's amazing summer concerts. On Saturday, September 27th, I invite you to enjoy a live broadcast of West Side Story at Loma Alta Park. The fun and free event will feature activities for people of all ages, including Altadena food and business vendors, live local musicians, lawn games, face painting, caricature drawings, balloon animals, magic performances, arts and crafts, and much more. Grab your blankets and your lawn chairs and the whole family, and be sure to come enjoy this special event tailor-made for Altadena. Get the details at bit.ly/simulcast-SD5 so you can participate in the fun. I hope you will take advantage of these opportunities to connect with your community. While there is so much underway, I also want to acknowledge some misinformation and questions that have been circulating. At last week's board meeting, my comments were mischaracterized regarding a motion about rent relief. Make no mistake, I stand firmly in support of rent relief for residents who need it, and that includes both fire survivors and those impacted by the recent immigration raids. Residents deserve a thorough and thoughtful program that meets their needs. That's why I voted to continue that motion for 2 weeks to allow us to engage stakeholders, refine the proposal, and move forward with the strongest, most informed approach in residents' best interest. I am in favor of rental relief for our residents. I also intend to deliver the most effective program possible. That is what you deserve. Before I wrap up, I also want to remind you that you can ask my office questions anytime throughout the week. We've dedicated a special email inbox specifically for Altadena. It is altadena@bos.lacounty.gov. Send your questions in, and my team will connect with you to ensure we're responsive to your needs. Thank you for staying engaged on these important issues.
Good afternoon. I'm Major Todd Ober with the United States Army Corps of Engineers. Thank you, Supervisor, for allowing me the opportunity to speak today. About a week and a half ago, the Corps of Engineers completed all debris removal operations within the Eaton Canyon fire footprint. Over the weekend, we transitioned the mission back to the Los Angeles District and will continue to work closeout tasks. The restoration of the golf course continues to be on schedule. We expect to hand over back to the Department of Parks and Recreation by the end of 2025. I would like to take this opportunity to say that serving this community has been one of the highlights of my 16-year career with the United States Army. Getting to witness firsthand the strength and resiliency of each of you has been truly inspiring. I look forward to coming back in a few years to see this community rebuilt and prospering. Thank you for your attention. This concludes my presentation.
Hello, my name is Ed Rojas. I'm an Assistant Deputy Director with LA County Department of Regional Planning. Our department is currently working on an interim ordinance for the unincorporated communities impacted by the Eaton fire. An interim ordinance introduces temporary regulations to address immediate need. It is enacted by the Board of Supervisors and effective immediately for 45 days and can be extended up to 2 additional years. The temporary regulations can be made permanent during that time. If that is required, it follows our regular procedures, which includes community outreach and a public hearing before the Regional Planning Commission, before consideration by the Board of Supervisors. The goal of the proposed Eaton Fire Disaster Interim Ordinance is to support fire survivors by streamlining the rebuilding process while also maintaining a process for stakeholder input. Is scheduled for the September 2nd board meeting, and the first extension is scheduled for October 14th. The interim ordinance will introduce development standards, a streamlined modification process, allow for temporary uses, that outlines the disaster permit and process which are currently in place, and fees, although fees for most applicants have been deferred. Now we'll cover the development standards, although some of these are already in place through department memos. Expansion for like is limited to 10% or 200 square feet, whichever is greater. The minimum front yard setback for a non-like-for-like rebuild is 20 feet. Front yard setbacks for like-for-like rebuilds can be modified. If the pre-fire setback was less than 20 feet, it can be increased. If the pre-fire setback was greater than 20 feet, it can be decreased, but not less than 20 feet. It also codifies the occupancy of standalone ADUs, which are ADUs that were built prior to the primary unit. Currently, a non-for-like rebuild is required to have a walkway that connects the front of the property to the sidewalk. Now, if a property does not have a sidewalk and does not directly adjoin the street, you can connect that walkway to the driveway. Height limits for like-for-like rebuilds is not limited to 10% anymore. Like-for-like rebuild can increase the height as long as it does not exceed the height permitted by the zone or increase the number of stories. Relocation for like rebuilds is allowed as long as 50% of the original footprint is maintained. Currently, only like-for-like rebuilds are exempt from oak tree permits. Under the new regulations, non-like-for-like rebuilds will also be exempt as long as the encroachment is equal to or less than the previous structure. Another change is no covered parking is required for like-for-like rebuilds and for non-like-for-like rebuilds. The example here, we have a home with a one-car garage. If they decide to do like-for-like, they're required to have 1 parking space, and that can be provided uncovered. In the other example, they do not like-for-like, which requires 2 parking spaces. Again, they can be uncovered. At any time, they can voluntarily provide a covered garage or carport instead. Also, no replacing parking is required when a new ADU overlaps fully or partially over the footprint of a damaged or destroyed garage. As an example, you can see 2 examples of where required parking would not be required. The interim ordinance also introduces a streamlined modification process. There is no public hearing. Instead, it is reviewed by the director or the zoning administrator. There is public noticing, and decisions are subject to appeal or calls for review. The noticing, there will be a notice of application when the request is received, and a notice of action when the decision is made. Notices are mailed to the surrounding property owners and via email or courtesy list, and to community-based organizations on file for Altadena or Canelo Mesa, as well as posted on the county website. If you have any questions about this information or anything else regarding recovery, please email us or contact us by phone, or you can also visit us at the Altadena One-Stop Permit Center. Thank you.
Good afternoon, and thank you for the opportunity to provide a permit progress update. My name is Kira Barnett, and I'm an Assistant Deputy Director at LA County Public Works, overseeing the newly formed Recovery Division. And if we could go to the next slide, please. 1,632 rebuild applications have been received by Los Angeles County in the Eaton fire area as of last Friday. This number includes all permit types, including new single-family homes, accessory dwelling units, garages, accessory structures, multifamily applications, and non-residential properties. Planning has cleared 1,256 zoning reviews. 1,037 properties have submitted full building plans and advanced into the building review stage. Separate permits are created for each structure, and we have a total of 1,327 structures in various stages of building review. Including all permit types, 209 parcels have active permits for a total of 290 structures with permits issued. 129 additional plans have been approved and are pending clearance receipt or the applicant pulling permits. The average number of days from initial submittal to permit issuance is 69 days for new residential projects. This includes design time to create and submit the full building plans, time to respond to comments received, and for the homeowner to identify a builder and pull permits. And if we could go to the next slide, please. I wanted to provide an update on our building plan self-certification pilot program, which continues to grow. As a reminder, California licensed architects and engineers can self-certify that their building plans comply with LA County Building Code, rather than having LA County Public Works building officials conduct full building review for plan check. You can obtain additional information on the compliance requirements of our self-certification program on the LA County Recovers rebuilding site. To date, 78 individuals have been registered to self-certify that their plans meet code requirements. 18 self-certified structures have been submitted. 8 are approved pending agency clearances. 7 have been screened and returned with screening comments. And 3 were just submitted today and will be screened for completeness. And if we could go to the next page, please. I'm excited to show you our new page on the Recovery website titled Rebuild Policies and Interpretation Memos, which can be found within the Rebuilding Resources tab. This page will be used to house all of the memos, planning documents, and other county guidance regarding requirements and recent procedural changes. Think of it as your resource for building plan best practices and technical guidance specific to LA County rebuilds. We will continue to create and upload guidance documents of this type to this page, so check back regularly for more new content. This page can be found at recovery.lacounty.gov/rebuilding/policies-and-interpretations, which is shown on your screen. And if we could go to the next slide, please. I'll highlight just a couple of the new documents that are on the page. And first, here you can see that we have a new ADU and junior ADU guideline document that has been compiled to provide information on the requirements associated with each as you consider your rebuild options. And on the next page, we'll dig in to what is an accessory dwelling unit or a junior accessory dwelling unit. An accessory dwelling unit, or ADU, is a unit with a full kitchen and bathroom that is accessory to a residential unit. It can also be called a granny flat or a second unit, and it can be on a property with a home or apartment building. It can be detached or attached. ADUs usually cost less than building a new home, and homeowners can offer them as rental housing. They also provide living space for family members or caregivers on the same property. A junior ADU, or JADU, is like an ADU, but it's smaller. A junior ADU also has to be within the main home and have its own exterior access. So for a couple of FAQs that we'll post online, do I need to obtain a separate address for an accessory dwelling unit or a junior accessory dwelling unit? And the answer is that an ADU can be permitted under the existing address. However, if a separate address is desired, a request for a half fractional number to the existing main address needs to be requested from Public Works Mapping and Property Management Division. For example, if a home's main address is 1234 Main Street, the ADU's address that would be applied for is 1234 and a half Main Street. If an ADU has a separate driveway or street access from the main house, then a separate address will be required. A junior accessory dwelling unit is not allowed to have a separate address, as it is considered part of the main dwelling. A couple more FAQs. How big can an ADU or JADU be? And the maximum size for an ADU is 1,200 square feet or 800 square feet for statewide exempt ADUs. A junior ADU can be a maximum of 500 square feet. Do ADUs or JADUs need to be owner occupied? For an ADU, it does not need to be owner occupied. For ADUs, either the JADU or the primary residence must be owner occupied. And if we can move to the next slide, please. Highlighting just one more of the newly posted documents, we've posted an implementation guide related to the July 7th Executive Order N2925, which suspends solar and battery storage system installations and compliance with the 2025 California Building Code. This guidance document clarifies what the solar-ready requirements mean for your rebuild projects. And the guidance document also clarifies what isn't and isn't required to be complied with the new codes that will take effect on January 1st, 2026. This new resource can also be found on the new Rebuild Policies and Interpretations Memos page. And if we could go to the last slide, please. Finally, we will continue to host Rebuilding Together workshops in the coming months, and the next one is scheduled for September 13th. For this next session, we will cover the importance of working with a licensed contractor for your rebuild projects. At the workshop, which will be recorded and posted online, we will have representatives from the Contractor State Licensing Board, the County Department of Consumer and Business Affairs, and the Neighborhood Housing Services, so that you can hear directly from them and ask the experts questions in real time. So you can scan the QR code on the screen to register for the event, or you can find this link on our recovery.lacounty.gov site under rebuilding and workshops. So be sure to keep an eye out for future events on these weekly meetings or on our website at recovery.lacounty.gov/rebuilding/workshops. That concludes my updates for today, and thank you for your time.
Good afternoon. My name is Nicole Quick, and I'm the Interim Chief Science Officer at the Los Angeles County Department of Public Health. We know there continues to be concerns related to potential soil contamination after the Eaton fire. Today, I want to explain what we are doing in response. We continue to offer free blood lead testing to all residents in impacted areas and urge residents to consider testing, especially if you have young children, are pregnant, or live in areas that were affected by fire debris. If you want to get your blood levels checked, there are options available. You can request a free blood lead test by calling 1-800-LA-4-LEAD. Testing is offered through Quest Diagnostics and is completely confidential. We can help you find a Quest location that is most convenient for you and schedule the appointment. If you'd rather go through your own doctor, just ask for a blood lead test. It's part of standard of care and especially important for children under 6 and pregnant individuals. It is covered by Medi-Cal and most private insurance. Let's take a moment to focus on the blood lead testing results we've received so far, because this is an important indicator of whether fire-related contamination is impacting residents' health. To date, nearly all results have come back below the CDC's reference value of 3.5 micrograms per deciliter, including among children and other high-risk groups. That's a reassuring sign that we are not seeing widespread exposure from fire-related contamination. There have been only 9 test results above the CDC threshold. Public health nurses have followed up directly with each of them to provide tailored guidance and support. Now it's important to understand what that 3.5 threshold really means. It is not a safety line. It is a public health signal that someone's level is higher than what is seen in most children across the US. It helps us identify and respond to potential exposure early, but no amount of lead is considered safe, especially for young children. That's why we're continuing to offer free testing and closely monitoring results over time as part of an ongoing strategy to detect any changes early and take action when needed. Now I want to talk about a resource to support residents in the Eaton fire downwind area. Following a motion by the Board of Supervisors on April 15th, Public Health has been directed to use up to $3 million from the county's lead paint hazard mitigation program to carry out a large-scale residential soil testing initiative. The program is for properties located in the burn area, downwind of, and just outside the Eaton fire area. These properties qualify for free soil testing under this program. The program is expected to run through December of 2025. The program uses a self-collection model. Residents will be provided with simple, clear instructions on how to collect soil samples from their own yards. There will be no need to mail in anything. Instead, we have a drop-off location site in Altadena for convenience. Samples will be sent to certified laboratories contracted by the county. Residents will receive results by email within 7 to 10 business days, along with a link to a dedicated webpage that helps interpret results and offers health-based guidance on what to do next. You can find all of the details on our website. Just visit publichealth.lacounty.gov and look for the Eaton Fire Soil Testing Program banner on the homepage. The webpage walks you through the process in 6 simple steps, from checking if your address is eligible to collecting your soil sample, dropping it off, and getting your results. All the tools you need are right there, like the soil sample submission form, detailed collection instructions, and a clear breakdown of what your results mean. You'll also find an FAQ section to answer most common questions, plus info on free blood lead testing if you're concerned about exposure. It's all in one place to make the process as easy and accessible as possible. Thank you for your time and engagement this afternoon.
Hello, my name is Katie Butler, Director of the California Department of Toxic Substances Control, or DTSC. I'd like to share an overview of resources available to support wildfire recovery in Los Angeles County. These resources are intended to help residents, local governments, and environmental cleanup professionals determine if there is contamination in their soils and make informed decisions about rebuilding safely and protecting public health. DTSC is a state agency that protects Californians and the environment from harmful chemicals. We do this by advancing safer consumer products, regulating hazardous waste, and overseeing the cleanup of contaminated sites. When wildfires occur, we are mission tasked by the state's Office of Emergency Services to remove hazardous materials and other harmful items from fire-impacted properties. Wildfires can release harmful contaminants like lead and arsenic. These contaminants can settle in the soil, both inside and outside of the burn zone, depending on a number of factors, like wind direction, fire intensity, and building materials. Soil testing is key to understanding the impact of wildfires on your property. DTSC has developed and provided Los Angeles County with 4 new resources to help community members make informed decisions about soil safety. These include detailed guidance on soil testing, how to interpret the results, and practical tips to prevent soil exposure and related health risks. The first resource is the Residential Soil Guidance Document. This was developed in coordination with CalRecycle. This is a 5-page document and will walk you through recommendations on when to have your soils tested, what chemicals should be evaluated, and how to interpret them. This guidance provides recommendations for all types of residential properties impacted by the 2025 LA fires. Whether your home was a total loss, a partial loss, or it's still standing, we cover these different scenarios and how to evaluate potential impacts to soil. There are several free services available to community members who want to have their soils tested. These services are ideal as an initial screening step to help determine if more testing is needed. If you decide to do additional sampling, DTSC has developed a soil sampling plan that is best implemented by environmental professionals. This resource is a more detailed technical work plan, which includes sampling rationale, instructions for field implementation, sample handling, data quality measures, and laboratory procedures. This standardized plan ensures testing is carried out consistently and in accordance with California state standards. Here is an example property. On the left are key features such as a house with an attached garage, a front and backyard, a children's play area, a garden, and several areas with bare dirt. The image on the right has all the features removed, and the property has been divided into different sections. The numbered sections represent different composite samples. A composite sample is a sample that combines soils from several different locations with similar uses into a single sample. DTSC recommends taking a minimum of 4 composite samples with additional composites added if a structure such as a home, garage, or vehicle was burned. DTSC also recommends discrete individual samples be collected in sensitive use areas, such as gardens and children's play areas. The discrete samples are represented by these orange squares. So, what should samples be tested for? DTSC recommends testing soils for metals. This recommendation is based on results from previous wildfires and preliminary results from the LA fires. There are other chemicals commonly associated with fires and ash that could be evaluated in soils, and those chemicals and the appropriate analytical methods are listed in the appendix of the soil sampling plan. DTSC is recommending focusing on metals for 2 reasons. 1, they are reliable indicators of impacts due to wildfires, and 2, this will help reduce costs to homeowners. Not all metals in soil are due to contamination from the wildfires. Early testing has shown elevated levels of lead, especially in older neighborhoods where lead-based paint was commonly used before it was banned. Also, naturally occurring arsenic is found in bedrock and soil across California, including Los Angeles County. If you haven't tested your soil yet, DTSC has developed fact sheets on both lead and arsenic that provide more details on these common contaminants. To help interpret soil test results, the guidance relies on health-based screening levels to determine whether more information may be needed. Screening levels are a risk-based concentration that help evaluate potential health risks. They are protective of the most vulnerable populations, such as children and pregnant people, over long periods of time. A soil result above a screening level doesn't necessarily mean there's an immediate health risk. More information, such as individual risk factors and land use, should be considered. If you haven't tested your soil yet, or if your soil results are above screening levels, there are easy measures you can take to prevent possible exposures to contaminants in soil. The guidance highlights public health measures, including hand washing, removing shoes indoors, covering bare soil with mulch or plants, and wet wiping indoor surfaces. These are especially important for families with little ones or pregnant people. Once you have soil testing results, an environmental professional may recommend one or a combination of several reduction methods. The residential soil guidance includes a table with various technologies that can be used to address elevated concentrations of contaminants in soil. If you're a homeowner or renter in the area affected by the Palisades or Eaton fires, these resources can help you make decisions about rebuilding, letting kids play outside, and gardening. The residential soil guidance and the arsenic and lead fact sheets are also available in Spanish on the DTSC website. También la guía sobre suelos residenciales y las hojas informativas sobre arsénico y plomo están disponibles en español en nuestro sitio de web. Our DTSC team is here to help you make informed decisions about soil testing, evaluating results, and potential steps. If you have any questions, please reach out to our wildfire guidance team at wildfireguidance@dtsc.ca.gov.